Good Monday morning, everybody. We are live here on Ken's 5 talking weather. It's a mostly clear start to the week. We have a sunny sky, just one or two clouds over like Calaveras Lake, the airport. It's going to be a mostly sunny day. Any rain that forms today, this afternoon, will be mostly like towards the Houston area. I would say primarily towards like East Texas, and even at that, it'll be like spotty, isolated showers. Later today, better chance at some showers and storms in our area around San Antonio tomorrow, Wednesday, and especially Thursday and Friday. As a couple of things come together, we'll have a front out in North Texas and a ridge out to the west. Basically what that means is just means a better setup for some afternoon downpours later in the week. So again, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even possibly into Saturday, we could see a couple of downpours materialize on radar, and some of those could produce lightning, some thunder, some localized pockets of heavy rain, and maybe some isolated flooding, which we'll get into detail in just a little bit. But if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I'll be on live for the next 20 minutes or so. Here's again a live look around town. Both traffic conditions right below me, right there. There's I-10 west at 1604. There's 281 at St. Mary's. And then also, again, there's Morgan's Wonderland Camp. There's near downtown San Antonio, the airport, Calaveras Lake. All looks beautiful, and with more sunshine, temperatures are going to respond and will likely be near 100 degrees later this afternoon. Again, more on that in a second. First, the tropics. It's pretty active. Take a look. So we have Hurricane Aaron over the weekend on Saturday. Aaron maxed out at 160 miles an hour, a Category 5 hurricane. It was between basically the 14th and 15th, I think between about 30 hours of time, Aaron rapidly intensified and gained Category 5 status, and it was a huge jump in strength in a very short amount of time. We'll show you where that places in history, just how it ranks on how fast and, more importantly, how early it is in the season to see a Category 5. August and September are known for producing powerful hurricanes, but to see a Category 5 like in the middle of August is pretty unusual. You usually see that in like late August to more so early September is when they start really increasing in intensity. In the Atlantic and the Caribbean and those kind of places. But yeah, current winds on Aaron, 140 miles an hour, so it's down a little bit. That's a Category 4. So it's going back and forth in strength. I think earlier yesterday it was down to a Cat 3, but now back to a Cat 4. You can see why. You can zoom in and see what the strength is and how perfect it looks on satellite. I mean, you can just see the structure of the pinwheeling motion of this hurricane. It just has a very symmetrical look. You see the eye wall and the eye in the very center of the hurricane. And that's all indicating, a pretty powerful setup for a storm that's just, continuing to just propagate in the same direction. And just taking advantage of the warm water in the Atlantic, which is what that is. It's fuel for these storms to intensify. It's moving west-northwest at 10. Its pressure is down to 935 millibars, so it's pretty deep in pressure, which is why it's a Category 4 hurricane. It's gonna, it's causing a lot of rain in Puerto Rico, the DR, parts of eastern Cuba. That'll remain the case for the next day or so. And then probably going to bring some rain to the Bahamas and some high surf conditions as well. Matter of fact, anywhere from the Bahamas to the eastern part of Florida to the Carolinas, and I would say especially into the Outer Banks of the Carolinas, high surf conditions, meaning we'll probably see waves between the Bahamas and the Carolinas on the range of 15 to 20 feet, just because of how much this hurricane is churning the water. With it being a Category 4, those winds are really moving things and creating elevated surf conditions and, high rip current risks as well. So if you have any friends or family between Miami towards the Carolinas, that's where it's going to be elevated surf, high rip current risks, maybe a few showers and some gusty winds, but the storm should primarily stay offshore, aside from, again, some high surf. Now, that was Aaron, so take a look at how it ranks in history, this storm. It's not expected to make landfall. That's the good news. It'll pass Bermuda. And the winds, max sustained winds reached 160 over the weekend. So that's above Cat 5 strength. So anything above 157 is considered Cat 5 and above. But, with that early intensification, again, it's like late August into early September is when you typically start seeing Cat 5 storms really intensify. But last year was the earliest hurricane specifically the earliest Category 5 to form in the Atlantic, and that was Beryl. Beryl actually hit Texas, but as a Cat 1, I believe. It was a Category 1 by the time it made it into the Gulf and made it towards Houston. But before it made it towards the Gulf and into Texas, it was a Cat 5 in the Caribbean, south of Cuba, south of the DR. And Beryl at that time on July 1st, 2024, was a Cat 5, 165-mile-an-hour winds. So that's the earliest Category 5 on record in the season. Emily was back in 2005 on July 16th. Hurricane Allen back in 1980, 190 miles an hour. That was on August 5th. And then there's Aaron, August 16th, which is pretty much tied with Hurricane Camille in regarding date. August 16th of this year is Aaron, but August 16th of 1969 was Camille. And both those storms, I mean, Cat 5 strength. Camille was a bit stronger with winds at 175 miles an hour. Aaron was at 160 at the peak of its strength earlier this weekend. So take a look at the forecast map. This is from the Hurricane Center. It'll remain Cat 4 status probably through tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. As it gains latitude, it runs into cooler waters, reasonably cooler waters, relatively cooler waters. And then by about, let's say, the end of the week, Thursday and Friday, it's bending back out into sea, taking a right turn away from land. Good news, it should stay away from Bermuda, but it's still going to cause, some high surf and probably on the eastern side some more heavy rain for Bermuda. But in terms of direct impacts to land, that's the good news. No immediate impacts to land is expected. And then by this weekend, probably still a Cat 2, but again, moving away from shore, moving away from land. Now behind Aaron is another wave that could replace it as another hurricane. If this were to be named, which is expected in the next 2 to 5 days, it has a moderate chance at doing so. This would be Tropical Storm Fernand, and this would approach the northern Caribbean, probably Puerto Rico, almost a similar track to what Hurricane Aaron's doing in the last 5 days or so. So we're watching that very, very closely for the Atlantic and for any Caribbean plans. If you have any friends or family going to Puerto Rico, the Lesser Antilles Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, that's where this next storm will probably impact them by the end of the weekend. So we have a lot of time to track it, but more hurricanes are possible, especially as we approach the end of August. We're approaching the end of the month soon, and that is the peak of hurricane season. From Kyler, any rain? Yeah, we have a couple of showers in the forecast, mainly for the end of the week, Kyler, between like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll see some of that form tomorrow, which we'll show you in a second. But it's clear on radar. Temperature 88 in the city, 84 at Bernie, 85 at Bandera, a couple degrees warmer at Hondo at 87. Already jumping into the 90s in Austin, San Marcos, Kennedy at 90, 91 at Beeville, 90 at George West. Here's today's forecast. Right around 99 to 100 in San Antonio. Normal is 96, so we're actually going down on our average highs, but that doesn't stop, the weather flow and high pressure moving back and forth between Texas. So we're forecasting right around 99 degrees today with a partly cloudy, if not sunny sky. Winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Now watch this on the hour by hour. We talked about this earlier. If any rain forms today, it's going to be east, like Gonzales, LaGrange, Houston, East Texas. Not much in our area. And then tomorrow morning, there may be a couple of downpours moving towards Gonzales, Seguin, Hallettsville. But watch what happens tomorrow afternoon. The heating of the day will help spark off a couple of scattered thunder showers in the area. So tomorrow, a slightly better chance for some rain and some heavy downpours. Mostly sunny, highs in the middle to upper 90s. And the thing is, with this cloud cover and this rain, gradually coming into the forecast, that's going to trend down our temperatures closer to normal, if not a little bit below average, which is what we'll take. So this is tomorrow afternoon at 5. So anywhere from here, Pleasanton, Hondo, Kerrville, towards Beeville and Gonzales, there could be some localized pockets of heavy rain, lightning, thunder. Shouldn't last very long, but some localized flooding is possible. Let me show you what's happening beyond that. So that's basically going to repeat the next several days. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. This huge ridge, which typically is over Texas, which usually shuts down the chance for rain, is away from us. It still causes heat, but the fact that it's towards like Southern California, Nevada, New Mexico, that'll make room for a couple of downpours moving in from like Dallas, for example, from Waco. And that could definitely create some pockets of heavy rain later in the week. So we have an alert set for Thursday and Friday for a couple of pockets of heavy rain, and that's the reason why. As a matter of fact, here's the rainfall forecast. You can see between San Antonio and Houston, up to, I would say, 3/4 to an inch of rain is possible between now and about Saturday. Anywhere southwest towards like Laredo, let's say Corpus Christi, that's where they could probably see a little bit less. I would say maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch. But San Antonio, the I-10 corridor, I-35, in a pretty good zone and opportunity at seeing some heavy rain by the end of the week. So again, there it is on the 14-day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all pretty good opportunities at cashing in on some much needed rain. Medina County is still underneath exceptional drought. Bexar County is still extreme drought. We have a burn ban that's in effect for Bexar County. No outdoor burning. And especially as we approach the end of August, early September, winds typically start to pick up, and that can increase the fire threat as well. So this rain chance, while it's not, heavy soaking rain, there could be pockets of lightning in the area, especially Thursday and Friday. A front out in North Texas will almost stall, and that may spark off additional rain in our area. So again, Tuesday, Wednesday, and especially Thursday and Friday, there's a pretty good opportunity at seeing some rain that may linger into the weekend, with rain coverage almost trending down by Sunday and next Monday, this time next week. But the good news is more cloud cover, the more chance of a rain, more of a chance of a shower. That does trend down our temperature. So even by Thursday and Friday, depending on how much rain forms, that could mean highs in the lower 90s, just depending on where exactly these storms form and where exactly they move through. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. In the meantime, download the KENS 5 app. It is free in the App Store. Any additional updates on radar, severe weather, flooding concerns, you'll have that in the palm of your hand. That is the KENS 5 app. It is free in the App Store. Me, Paul, Bill, Roxy, Jeremy will have additional updates on the weather forecast in the days to come. As we get more high-resolution data in, that'll definitely change things and probably change the forecast slightly, but at least we're talking, the chance for rain Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And slightly cooler temperatures, not as hot, middle 90s as opposed to triple digits. We'll take that. And then Saturday, 94 with a small chance of rain on Sunday. So we're going to watch that, especially for the weekend. But Thursday and Friday are the main days we're looking at for more, widespread coverage of scattered storms in the area. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. Have a great Monday, guys. Stay cool, drink plenty of water, stay hydrated, find shade, take breaks when you can, because today a high temperature of 99 to 100. Less hot by the end of the week, with a better chance at a couple of storms in the area and around the San Antonio metro. We'll take that. Have a great Monday, guys. Be safe, and we'll see you later.